Hello guys, by the end of this video you should be able to add a signature pad to your application, and when you click on it you should be able to submit your signature basically. So you should get signature like this. I can come here and sign, save it, I can clear it, and maybe I can say save this, and I can save that, and we will get our signatures like this. So we're going to design it a little bit better by the end of the video, but that's what you are going to do. So there are so many signature pads libraries. So this is the beauty of Vue.js in Rad systems. We can use different libraries from anywhere. Now, because these libraries are so many, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the specific one I'm using in the description below, and you can navigate there and download it. So I'm using this vPerfect signature. So what you do is you're going to copy the npm, and you're going to open your project file directly in your code. So I'll show you this in case you're not using a code editor like mine. So I'm using this blog hero backend code. I'm going to go to my project, which is in Node-RED, blog hero frontend, and at the top here I want you to type cmd. Make sure you are logged in to the frontend and click on this, paste your code there and install it. So when this code has been successfully installed, you should now be able to use this particular code in here. So make sure you don't copy this, or if you copy this, ignore this, but just use this npm. Ignore this completely, just use this npm at the top. Now once that is settled, we now have our code ready here, right? So if I go back to my code, you notice that this has been installed, so I close that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove the old code I had done here. This is my rad systems. So I'm just going to remove the old code I had done here, and let me just remove everything here, make that plain text, then go to on my add page here and delete everything that I have. Custom code, delete everything, and then we can do it together now, right? So now if I open here, I now just have these old ones here. So the trick to this starts with your database design. So I'm going to go to my database. You notice I have a table called signature. So in my signature table, I have a text called sign here, which is of type text. Now there's a very good reason why it's of type text, and you see this as we are doing this. So make sure it's not a varchar. Make sure it's not a varchar. Instead, it should be text like that. So now that I have that, I'm going to go to my add page here, and this is where I want to import my signature pad, right? So if I open my application, so let's say for example I open my application here and I want to say create signature pad, you notice I have this. So what I'm going to do is just maybe design it a little bit. I'm just going to design it just a little bit. I'm going to go here, and in my, this is not important, but I just like having my application look at least vertical without a label like this. So now my code looks like this. So this is what I want. Now what you're going to do is on this particular page, we want to now import in our add table, we want to import the component, basically this import. So I'm just going to come here and I'm going to copy this, import this, and we are going to also import these stroke options, all that, right? So just copy all that. So what you're going to do is you're going to now come here and paste it. So what we have done is that we have installed, or basically initialized imported the signature pad from here. Now these are just variables which are going to help us in designing it directly from the code. Now what I'm going to do here is this code is basically for saving the signature pad. So this is for saving the signature, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to click on OK. And what I'm going to do next here is I want to add a new here. So I'm just going to add a new column. Instead, sorry, let's not use a section. Let's create a new column here, and I can drag and drop it at the top, and let's do call 12 md call 12. Then let's have a custom view in there. So this is where we are going to drop our signature pad. All right, so now if we come here, we are going to copy now the signature pad just the way it is, and you're going to paste it inside our stuff here like this. So if you can see here, we have the stroke options which are being referenced inside the variable we created here. So what you can do is you can change the stroke options here. You can even make these like maybe like 12, thinning, smoothing, streamline. You can design that, so that's really up to you to decide. So if I click on this and I publish, now you'll notice that now I have a signature pad here, but now you see it doesn't have those edges we want. So what I can do is I'm going to come here and I want to design it just a little bit. I'm going to come and give it a border. So I'm going to say class is equals to border 1 surface border. So the reason why we are doing surface border is because of a specific reason. So if I just leave it as border 1, right, if I just leave it like border 1 like this and I click on publish, you notice like the border looks a little bit too edgy and too blackish. So I want it to like blend in with the code, with the with my background. So I'm going to say surface border. So this is going to make my border blend in nicely with my background. Now there you go. So our stuff is blending in fine. So what I can do next is I can give it a rounded border. So you can say border round. Good. Now that we are done with that, you can publish this and you notice now it's no longer that edged like this. Now to go back to your code, you have several options here. So they have things that like props, width and height. So you can maybe grab a prop of height. So you can copy that height, and because it's a prop, how you go about it is you go to your code, right? Come here to your code and just go here and add a prop here. So you can call this a prop and you can say height is equals to maybe 100 pixels, right? So if you check this back here, you can publish that and you should see that the height will kind of change. So it's really up to you to decide how you want your height to be. So let's have our height to maybe be like 250. Let's have the height at 250 maybe. Okay, yeah, that would do. Now you can also do a prop of width. Sorry about that. You can also do a prop of width here, which you can put whichever size you want. You can change the background color, you can change the pen color. So I can change the pen color here by doing this, going back to my custom this place where we added here, and you can do pen color is equals to so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and grab the color of the primary color of my rad system application. I can do inspect here, and there's this thing called styles here. I want to grab the primary color, which is this. So I just copy this color from here. Okay, and then I can go back to rad systems, and where we have the color, I can just put that color in there. So if you publish your application now, you should be able to get your stuff looking nicely. There you go. So you can change the color just fine. Good. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to have the option to clear this stuff. So again, we go back to our documentations. So I'm going to go to the documentation, and you notice in the methods they have something called clear. So we're going to use that function to make a function that is going to be able to clear our code. So I'm going to come here and say function clear, right? And inside this, we want to now target this signature pad here. Oh, remember this is a variable which is being initialized or containing our reference to the signature pad. Now by reference, I mean this. So you see we have something called ref here, which is equals to signature pad. This is a variable which we have created here, which is being referenced to the signature pad, which allows us to extend these functions. So I'm going to come here and do signature pad, right? And then I'm going to do signature pad dot value dot. Now we need to get this function called clear here. So we're going to now extend that function here called clear. Good. So this will automatically clear our function. Good. Our signature, sorry. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come here and I'm going to create a button, right? and I'm going to add a click event, which will be equals to the function which we just created right now called clear. Now, one thing I don't want you to get confused about is this. So let me just call this clear signature so that it doesn't confuse you with this other clear here. So this is the function that we want to trigger when we click on this particular button we just created here, right? So click on this and it should clear the signature, right? So if I publish, I come back here and I sign, this should be able to clear that signature, right? So let's give this button a name. So let's just call it a label. Label is equals to clear, something like that, right? Publish. Now, there you go. So we can clear that signature part. Now, the next thing we need to do is to have a button for save, right? So let's have another button here. And let's call it save. Now, it's the same thing here. I'm going to go to my custom JavaScript and I'm going to copy this save here. But now, there is one thing that you need to notice carefully. We don't really need to interfere with the original code for rad system in this case. You will notice here, what this is doing is that when you click on it, it's assigning this value here and it's getting the URL of the signature, right? So the signature is always returned like a image URL, right? So what you need to do is assign that signature we get here into this container code sign here, right? So the way you do that in rad systems is you always have whenever you click on this, there's always this value called this v model called sign here. So this is a v model we are interested in, and you can access it also without having to manually edit it. So we want to attach it to that particular variable there. So what I'm going to do is, now that I know it, I'm going to go to add design page here, and I want to do, when I click on it, I now want to assign that value here. So now I want to assign this data URL from here and put it here. Good. So now we need to call this function when we click on the save button. Okay, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to go here and change this from clear to save, like that. Good. So I can change the color here. I can say class is equals to bg green 100, right? So that we have this as save here. So when I click on that, we should have now this option to save this button here. So I can put some margin here. So I can say class is equals to margin left of 2, and let me just make this 300, and I can say border none, so that it can just remove the border, which is all these round there. Good. So we have that, right? So if I sign here, I can click save, and now you notice that the signature gets added automatically in our form here. Now the reason why I told you to have the database as text here, when you are creating it, I told you to have this as text, is because varchar, by default, varchar is only 50. So we want a big size because this text is so big. So if you have this as varchar, basically when you save it, it will only save 50 characters, which will basically mean your signature will be broken, it will not work. So we want to save this just the way it is. Now that we know that this is being saved here, we can do a few things. But before we do that, let's look at some events here. So we have something called events, which is fired when the stroke ends and fired when the stroke begins. So most of the times, maybe you might not want to have the button called save. Maybe you don't want this button for saving. You want when you finish signing, it saves itself. So the way you can do that is you can use this event here. So that event, what you can do is you can go to your application, go to the add page, and you're going to come here again. All right, sorry, not here, but the custom view, and here you can have a click event, sorry, not a click event, but an event called on end. So when this ends, you can do a few things. You can maybe say alert, let's say hi, right? So if you publish this, let's type alert is not a function, yeah, so that's an issue. So if you finish that, it should be able to save your signature. So maybe let's now, instead of using that alert, we now want to, when we finish signing, we can just save this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and do the save, right? Publish. Okay, so if I start signing and I finish, it should save itself. So that means that now you can just get rid of the save button here. This save button, you can remove it, right, and publish. So if you sign this, you notice that it goes like that. But now you notice if I click on clear, it does not really clear, but because we still want it to clear also this data we have here. So the way you're going to do that is we are going to go to a custom code, and where we have this clear signature, we also want to clear this, right? So I'm just going to come here, copy this, and I'm going to say this is equals to empty. So it's supposed to be empty. So when you publish this, I sign, clear should also clear this. If I sign this, clear should also clear that, right? Now, because we already know that this is being saved here, right, we can now easily just hide this. But now remember, if you're going to remove the sign button, it means that you're not going to allow your users to do all this. But however, it seems like you can still add to your signature. Anyway, that's okay. So we're now going to hide this container here, and let's come here to this container and sign here. So we are going to do two things. We are going to make sure that it's always required, setting it to true so that you cannot save an empty signature. And then the next thing you're going to do is hide it, right? So the way you're going to do that is we are going to come here, sign here, and default value, sorry, not default value, but it's supposed to be a text box, and I want this to be hidden. So changing it to a text box will not affect anything as long as your database is always accepting a string, right? So as long as your database is always accepting like the characters. So what you're going to do here is come here from text, make it hidden, publish, right? So now you can just go ahead and kind of just edit the code and maybe remove this card or whatever. So it's really up to you. So if I come here, I can just do wrapped in card, false, submit. Yep, so we have that submit there. So I can just sign this and I submit. So now you notice now in our signature, we have now a very long kind of data. So what we need to do is now make that an image. One thing you need to notice is that manually coming here and saying that I want this to be an image is not really going to work. For maybe rad system does not really support this kind of image. Sorry, this is the text, we are doing it on sign here. It does not really support it. So if I click on this, you notice this appears as a broken image. So rad system does not do that. So the way you're going to do it is manually do it yourself. So I'm going to do custom view, and let me just do it again. So I'm going to do image, let's do source is equals to, now we need to do the image, that particular image which we want, which will be props dot row dot sign here. Now this is because the table that we are using is called sign here, right? So that's why we are doing that. Sign here and then close this. However, we might need to do some heights. So I'm going to do style is equals to max height. We want the height to be maybe say 200 px. Let's do 150 px. Max width is also 150 pixels, right? So now if you save this, you should now be able to have your signature right about there, right? So there you go. So you have a signature there. So you can play around with the size of this, and that's it. So now we can add as many signatures as we want. Come here, create a new signature, submit. There you go. Now you can just go ahead and just have fun with this. You can maybe come here to rad systems, copy this just where it is, copy it. I'm going to cut that that out, and I'm going to maybe change the design, and maybe I want it to look something like this, right? Or yeah, so let's have it like that. Image field will be assigned here, edit, then I can just come here and change everything to look something like that. So when I publish this, I now get my application looking something similar to that. So sign, there you go. Then I don't know if we could change the BG color. I'm not really sure about the BG color, but I'm just going to attempt it. Let me see. Class is equals to border 1, border round, surface border. Then I don't want this as a card, then I can put padding here of P2, publish. All right, crazy. Okay, so we can still have it that way. So just play around with it, see how it goes. But I'm just going to get this and remove it from here and put it to where we had the card, like this, like that. Come here and publish. So that should have a nicely rounded of stuff. So if you need to edit this, you still need to do the same thing for the other page, the basic edit page, but I don't know why you would edit a signature, but that's up to you. So in case you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section. I'll also leave the download link to the signature pad in the comment section. Have fun with it. So I'll see you in the next video.